So, first of all, what's your name and what do you do?
So my name is Chris Thomas, and I'm the publishing producer on Battleborn, working at 2K.
Okay, so we just played our first round of Battleborn and had the presentation. My first question is, it's kind of a multiplayer shooter, and also there's a story mode incorporated, like, it reminded me of Borderlands, like with the co-op mode and everything. What was the idea behind the story mode and also adding a multiplayer experience to it, so a competitive multiplayer?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, when we finished up with Borderlands 2, Gearbox really wanted to take the idea of creating these really amazing characters, and they just wanted to like crank that up. So they have, they've always been great at making those characters, and they love creating those like really intricate, skill trees and all that stuff. So once they decided we were going to make these really, we're going to make 25 playable characters, the whole idea of like figuring out, okay, well, how are we going to actually make them like coexist in the same universe and have it make sense? And that's where they started talking about and figuring out what the story was going to be and like how what the backdrop was going to be, and the whole idea about having this sort of end of time, end of universe scenario where all the stars have been destroyed and there's only this like one last star. That was like the perfect idea to like justify having all of these different civilizations, gathered around one point and fighting with each other. And we got to have. That's sort of the backdrop for the actual story. The competitive mode, as far as the lore goes, you have, if you can imagine, all of these different civilizations stuck in one place, and that they all have different philosophies and different ideologies about the end of the universe and this last star, which is like their only thing keeping them alive. You can imagine there would probably be some warring or some fighting amongst themselves, just trying to figure out, what to do and like how to survive. So there's several different factions of people. There's actually 5 factions that the Battleborn are actually made up of, and the competitive multiplayer is kind of it's kind of a sense of that war between all of the different factions. And they actually have to come together at some point to fight off whatever's trying to destroy the last star, which goes back to the story mode.
And how can you like incorporate the one mode into the other? Because I saw that there's going to be loot again, like in Borderlands 2. Like we have different classes or different rarities of certain items. How is that going to factor into the multiplayer? Will there be like a power gap where powers get like legendary items and fight against like people who just started? How can you like put these two things together?
Well, it's actually pretty difficult. It's a lot of balancing. It's a lot of testing. The idea is to not have that power gap. So there will absolutely be rarities, and there'll be different things that you'll find that you'll be able to change the way the character plays and change like the attributes of the character. And those things are shared between both the multiplayer and the story mode. But we're trying very hard to test as much as possible and to get as much feedback as possible and collect enough data that we can create those sets of loot in a way that doesn't create that sort of overpowered or power gap. So there's a lot of things that you can do that can actually make it not so bad, but also still a really good reward for the player for finding something that's really rare.
So we've got now 25 playable characters at launch, when it launches in February. Are there plans to further develop or to support the game, or is there more coming afterwards?
To be fair, or to be honest, we would love to. Both 2K and Gearbox we're solely focused on just getting the game done right now, because there's so much there. With the 25 characters, the story mode, and the competitive. We're just trying to get it finished in time, because we just announced February 9th, and that's gonna come up pretty quick. So if the game comes out and people love the game and there's demand for it, we would love to continue to support it post launch, because obviously Gearbox is known for making really really great DLC. So we'd love to do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely.